Hello everyone. Welcome. Before moving on to the summary, please subscribe our YouTube channel Educar India for regular educational content. Mother's Day is a heartwarming story by J.B. Priestley that portrays the unconditional love of a mother and the importance of respecting and appreciating her. Through the story of Mrs. Pearson and her family's transformation, the author emphasizes the need for children to value their mothers and treat them with kindness and respect. The story is a reminder to all of us about the selfless love and sacrifices made by our mothers, and the need to show them gratitude and love not just on Mother's Day but every day. The story of a mother named Mrs. Pearson is described in the chapter. Her children regularly treat her with rudeness and disregard. She was treated like a slave even in her own house. She consequently experienced daily ignorance and humiliation from her son Cyril and daughter Doris, as well as from her husband George Pearson, who had completely turned a blind eye to his wife. When Mrs. Pearson meets Mrs. Fitzgerald, a fortune teller, and talks about her family and their bad behavior, her life takes a turn. She reveals every detail of her family's behavior to Mrs. Fitzgerald. Additionally, Mrs. Fitzgerald, who has a powerful and evil personality, suggests that she swap personalities in order to impart a useful lesson on her family. Mrs. Pearson initially objected, but after some pushing, she decided to trade bodies. Later that, Mrs. Fitzgerald uses magic to switch personalities with Mrs. Pearson. They instantly change personalities, and Mrs. Pearson, who was previously cool and collected, starts smoking and drinking. And now Mrs. Fitzgerald is doing nothing. Mrs. Pearson is now inside her house as the scene shifts, and Doris comes inside. Given that she has a date with her boyfriend Charlie Spence, she provides the woman a dress and asks her to iron it. She even takes issue with her mother's smoking. Mrs. Pearson responds angrily when she requests and suggests that she complete her job on her own. She also jokes around with her beau. After her mother taunts and corrects her, Doris feels unhappy and ashamed and breaks down in tears. After that, her son Cyril comes in and quickly inquires as to whether his tea is ready. Mrs. Pearson declines and suggests he make it himself. He raises his voice when he notices her mother's expression and her sister's tears. Additionally, he refers to Mrs. Fitzgerald as an old hag, to which Mrs. Pearson advises him to watch his words when children complain of being tired after school. She is very clear in telling them both that starting on that day, everyone will work equally. Additionally, she will spend the weekends with her buddies rather than working. When Mr. Pearson arrives home at that point, he expresses amazement at seeing her wife smoking and drinking. He protests to Mrs. Pearson, convincing him that she can drink just as much as he can. Furthermore, he tells him that he is spending time with people who are making fun of him behind his back rather than with her wife. When Mrs. Pearson witnesses Mrs. Fitzgerald insulting her family, she requests her to stop. She doesn't allow her to speak, though, until she imparts to them all a valuable lesson about honoring and loving their mothers. They quickly flip personalities once more. The son, daughter, and husband then start helping their mother and wife after learning their lesson. In conclusion, Mother's Day is a powerful story that highlights the significance of a mother's love and the need for children to value and respect their mothers. Through the character of Mrs. Pearson and her family's transformation, J.B. Priestley conveys the message that it is essential to appreciate and honor the sacrifices and selfless love of our mothers. The story is a beautiful reminder that our mothers are the pillars of strength in our lives, and we should express our love and gratitude to them not just on Mother's Day but every day. Let us cherish and celebrate our mothers and make them feel loved and appreciated, for they truly deserve it. I hope you understand the summary very well. Please subscribe to our channel Educar India and like the video. Thank you.